All right, today's episode of Design More, Despair Less is going to be a bonus episode where I will read an article that I've written and then I'll post that as a video on YouTube as well as on X, and I will be posting it as a podcast episode as well. I think it's just a way to get these things that I've written out to a larger audience. I know a lot of people, it is easier to listen than to read if you're driving, for example. So that is the goal of this. This first article is titled, "Is Elon Musk's Idiot Index Actually Useful?" And idiot index is in quotations there. So I will be reading through this and would love to get feedback. If you want to read it yourself, you can always find it on my X page or on my profile. You can also find it on Medium, which I also have everything published there. You can also find it on my Substack. So all over the place, if you want to read it, there are places to find it. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. What are the best parts in Raptor as judged by the Idiot Index? Musk is quoted as saying while grilling a financial analyst at SpaceX. This story, along with the quote Idiot Index itself, have grown in popularity since the release of the Walter Isaacson biography Elon Musk. Aside from the inflammatory name, does the Idiot Index actually offer a useful metric by which a manufacturing or product company can categorize and understand material costs? Or is it simply a way for an aggressive CEO to make his subordinates squirm? To answer this, we must first dive into a bit more detail about what the index is and how it is calculated. The index first looks at the cost of a single component. This is the cost actually incurred or paid by the company for the component and is the value you would see in your cost of goods or production bill of materials. Next, you determine the cost of the raw material used to manufacture that component. This value may not be readily available, but with some research and experience, a useful estimate can be easily calculated. For example, if you have a component machined out of 316 stainless steel that is 1.96 inches wide by 0.97 inches thick by 5.83 inches long, you can safely assume this was machined out of raw stock piece of 316 stainless steel that was just slightly larger. In this case, we will assume a stock piece that is 2 inches wide by 1 inch thick by 6 inches long. With a quick Google, a bar stock of this size can be found from McMaster-Carr for $262.70. Keep in mind that raw stock from McMaster-Carr is usually more expensive than from other suppliers. This is your raw material cost. Now, with these two simple monetary values, you are ready to dive into the not so complex calculation of the Idiot Index. Simply take the cost of the component and divide it by the cost of the raw material it is composed of. That's it. How does one determine if they are an idiot? In the words of Elon Musk himself, if the ratio is high, you're an idiot. High in this context is, of course, relative to the industry, the type of component in the phase of development. Musk has determined that for production components, any ratio greater than 10:1 is a good candidate for improvement. But I have yet to answer the original question. Is this ratio actually useful? Yes. Let me explain why. I like to reframe this ratio as the cost per material cost, or, said a different way, dollar spent per dollar of material. If this ratio is high, you are spending a large percentage of your money due to the design of the component, not the cost of the raw materials. Why does this make it a great candidate for cost reduction? Well, it has to do with where you are as a company, or more specifically, where you as an engineer or a designer have the most control. What costs can you actually reduce? it is highly unlikely you will have any impact on the cost of a raw material, as it is well outside of your control. Now you may be thinking, but I can always choose a different material, which is absolutely true and worth considering if you haven't already. However, it is likely the material choices have been scrutinized and chosen for specific reasons, which then points you back to the design of the component. A high idiot index indicates you have designed in cost to the component with respect to the original material cost. It is then easily inferred that you can potentially reduce the cost of the component with better or more focused design. What this ratio provides is a way to categorize and prioritize system components to help you choose a starting point for cost reduction. How many times have you, as a designer or engineer, been asked, how can we make this cheaper? Likely more than you care to remember. The idiot index offers you a place to start. Not every part with a high ratio will be chosen for cost reduction, and after digging into the details, you will often find out why a part has a high price tag associated with it that is quite necessary for the overall function of the product. But you will also find parts that can be simplified, drawings with overly tight tolerances, or grandfathered in features which no longer serve a purpose. In the end, this index is not at all an insult to the designer, but rather a tool in the designer's belt which can and should be used anytime a cost reduction is needed to meet cost targets and increase profit margins. The idiot index isn't just useful, it is one of the most simple and effective ways to prioritize components for cost reduction. So, that's the article. Again, if you want to read it, go check it out on my X profile at Bilyeu PD. And that is it for this bonus episode. As always, please comment your thoughts. If you enjoy this, you enjoy the channel, please subscribe and share it with your friends. And with that, as always, remember, design more and despair less.